What's going on, everyone? It's Greg back with some more MIR4. Today, I want to go over the secret peak. So, I know it's been a little time in the game and stuff, but people still ask me about this, like, what should I do and things like that. Alright, so first and foremost, let's just say, what is the secret peak? Secret peak is one of the portals in here. You got to get down in the main quest to access it. But you have, multiple floors you can go to. And I like to, right now, go to floor 3. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and go in here and we'll talk some more, and I'll talk about what I generally do in Secret Peak. Alright, so when you first come into Secret Peak, you're gonna enter into the area with the NPCs, where you can utilize the currency that you end up getting from, well, not currency, but the items you get from Secret Peak, which are these little crystals. And so we'll go over in terms of what you should buy and things like that in a little bit. First, we're gonna see what bosses are up, because I come in here with my friend Perry and we usually knock the bosses. Even though we get solo them, we like to generally come in here together for the heck of it. So we're gonna go down to this boss right here, see if it's still up. All right, so when you are in here, I just want to point out that you see these areas in the that are just like outlined but the same color as the main map. These are some decent paths you can use to travel around on. You can also utilize the double glide method, but if you're traveling on these, I think it's a little bit easier to hit them if you just do the single glides. And on the map, you can see that there will be these little bosses. Then you have medium bosses and you have big bosses. The recommendation usually is 2 to 3 people for this, 5 people for this, and like up to 15 people for this. You definitely don't get enough chests for that. In general, you only get about 2 chests. You only get 2 chests from the small bosses, 2 to 4 from the medium, and generally about 4. I haven't really seen more than 4 on the big one. I think you can even get less on that, I believe, or maybe it was 6. I'm not sure exactly. We don't do those too often. I'm sorry, the big one. I'm pointing to the wrong one up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and head over to this one boss and see if it's up. The main thing we go for in Secret Peak is the skill tokens. So when you kill the bosses, they drop chests, and in those chests you can get the ancient skill tokens to get your rare skills. So I like to use the double jump here. Para just taught me this recently. A little easier way. He was always beating me up here. So you do the little double glide to get here. And let's see if anyone's doing this boss. No one is on the boss right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Since my buddy Perry, he found himself a gold node. So on now, I can solo these 3 F bosses, and I will sometimes do that if my buddy Perry cannot get on. Otherwise, we like to come through here together and take out the bosses. Sometimes it's nice, just like, especially if you have a lot of PvP on your server, it might be better to travel around with one person. So what are the main things you can do here? Well, let's see if there's any landmarks. The landmarks just show where the little NPCs are, but let's see, demon spawn point. All right, so these demon spawn points, these are where you go if you get one of the medals from the NPC to spawn one of the bosses. You have let me see which one is which. I think this is the lower one, then like the medium one and the big one. Or no, I think this might be the medium one, and this would be the big one. So you can get these tokens with your crystals if you want. I'll talk about that more in a little bit. Then we talked about the bosses. So other than that, a lot of people like to do some mining. They like to do gathering, get some energy. All those activities, when you do those in Secret Peak, you're also getting the crystals and possibly some pills for inner force. So it's always good to do. There are also a few decent XP spots if you're in a floor that you can actually handle the mobs, like right in here and right over here are groups of good XP mobs. And also I don't remember if it's right here or right here, up here or here. I think it's here and here, or I could be wrong. It's either one of these spots on each of these north and south ends. There's a group of mobs that are aggro, like, so when you run through, they aggro onto you. Those are generally good for XP, and you get decent drops in there as well. People tend to get a lot of drops from these lower areas, especially in like 2F, but 2F gets very crowded pretty quickly. Even 3F now is getting quite crowded as well. So when I am in here, I like to put my, alright, so I got my drop stuff on so that I can get drops off the boss and hopefully hit a lucky on the chest. As you can see now, the little bosses are spawning. I don't know if my front pair is going to be done in time, but oh look, I got a red chest on this one. That's always nice. The higher floor you are, generally you'll get a little bit more, but of course the bosses and stuff are harder. If you're going to just mine and things like that, generally you want to go for the highest floor, because if you're not going to be attacking any mobs or bosses, then you may as well go to the highest floors. They have better nodes for mining and gathering and things like that. So in general, like you can see here, I got those skill tokens. This is really the main thing I go for in here, to collect these up to craft the boxes to get your rare skills. It's a good source of that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else on the map before I go to the NPCs, because I do have a big thing to talk about with that. So we got some XP spots. You got your mining. Oh, there are also chests spread out across the map. One thing I used to do earlier on is I'll go to like the highest map and I would just go chest hunting, go all around, gather chests. That's where I got most of my like my red shards and stuff that can be used at the NPC. But in general, these days I prioritize other things over that. I used to do the same thing in Magic Square, where I would get, go to the treasure room, the sealing room, and things like that. But these days, Magic Square needs to be for experience. So in here, I generally go for the bosses, trying to farm some skill tokens, and then I might do a little bit of experience. I still don't really do any mining. Maybe I'll do some gathering, because if you do some gathering in here, you can get some millennial fruit at I believe a higher rate, or I don't even know if it's available on the nodes outside of Secret Peak, but I do know you can get millennial fruit from the Secret Peak gathering nodes. So that's about it that covers the map. Generally, I mean, it's always good to come in here with a party, because you never know what's going to happen. There's this spot up here, you can get a red chest. Just keep that in mind. There are also some other red chest spots across the map. I don't have exact locations. I can tell you, I can give you some approximations. Generally, there's one on one of these peaks up here. If you go around from them, over here by the waterfall, there's like a little ledge that can have one. There could be one up here, and I believe there's some other places over in here, but I'm not sure exactly. Either way, there's a lot of little spots that there could be a red chest. In general, you probably have a better shot in the higher areas in terms of the chests, especially if you're one of the first ones to get in those areas. It's kind of nice early on to do that and get those chests. So let's talk about the NPCs and how you want to spend your crystals. First and foremost, we have this crafting merchant, and you can get some pills if you need them. I generally don't use this too much. You can also craft these potions in here. It might be a good shout to do the XP potion. I'm not quite sure. I'll get into what I normally get in here. I do have some other crystals that I'm not necessarily utilizing, but I don't really get anything there. You got a potion merchant in here. Alright, so this is the other merchant, and in here where you end up getting a lot of these blue and green crystals, and I would go ahead and use them on these magic stone boxes. If you're in the treasures, go ahead, you can pop them off on treasures, but for me, I prioritize trying to get my epic stones more so than the treasures. So here, every time I have some of these, I'll go in here and get 50. Sometimes I wait a while and I get like 100, 200, pop them out. At this point, I probably bought close to 1,000, if not more, of these boxes, and so that's kind of what I use these blue crystals for. And these you always have like a surplus. So in here you can also see early on, if you don't have the Bishan Valley and you don't have a way to obtain these stones, I would recommend you can use some of your blue ones to get the Mystic Enhancement stones if you need them like earlier on. But at this point I have access to the Mystic Stone pieces, so I can make my own Mystic Stones, so I wouldn't really buy these anymore. You also have a rare Magic Stone box. I think the only reason why I don't do this, well, the main reason why I didn't do this is because I was saving this, so I might go ahead and pick some of these up. I can get 4 right now. I'm gonna double check some other stuff before I do that, and once I get enough for the red ones, I don't know when that'll be, because I don't generally go these I got while doing those chests. So you can get these like while going around the higher floors and to get the red pieces out of those chests. Then if you absolutely have a surplus, you can always come in here and grab some glittering powder. In Magic Square, you can grab the other, I forget what the other one was, the little purple thing. That's just a way to kind of burn some of your extra currency if you end up, because you do end up with a lot of one type of crystal more so than others. Now, here is another thing that me and my friend do. Again, this goes down to farming skill tokens. On floor 2F, you can spawn this mud creeper, and it still uses these uncommon crystals. After like 2 weeks, we usually have a lot of these, and what we do, and we don't generally need to do this now, but we do it anyway. But back in the day, before we joined the current clan, we would get PK'd a lot in Secret Peak, which is why we are in the habit of doing things together. And so what we would do is both max out what we can buy of these bosses, and you go over to a little spawn point, and I'll show you on the map where it's at, but it's going to be in 2F. You can only spawn these in 2F. It's going to be right over here. It's the landmark, oh no, demon spawn point. This demon spawn point right here, where currently it's the wildcat. You can buy those little bosses and spawn them, and it's a good little way to farm some tokens. You're not going to get a ton, but you get a decent amount. And it's a way to use up these orange uncommon crystals. I don't really have another way, that I would necessarily say you should be using them. Let's just double check the other vendor real quick. I don't think there is anything. I guess if you absolutely wanted to, you can make these mystic enhancement stones here. Why is it 50? I didn't realize it was that many. It's only 5 there, but 50 here. I'm not sure why they cost so much. To me, this is kind of ridiculous. I wouldn't do this. I don't think it's worth it. Just wait till you have a valley or have access to a valley or access to those materials. Other than that, like I said, these are the same, so you can choose what you want. If you want the magic stones or the spirit treasure boxes. And then finally over here, I don't think there was anything really to prioritize. You could, let's see, so you could use the orange ones for some of these pills. These 2 pills right here are the ones that you take a little bit longer to get, because these are restricted to raids, and these are restricted to the elite mob areas. And in elite mobs, you are generally killing slower. It's like the labyrinths and things like that. You're generally killing them slower, so these drops come in slower. And so sometimes I would get some of these. So that's another way you could utilize the blue crystals. So keep that in mind before you spend them all on magic stones. But this one, in terms of the orange, like using these, I might have crafted a few of these, but you can also craft some of these, I believe, in Magic Square. I'm not sure. I can't remember if you can craft in Magic Square. I know you can do promotional items in Magic Square. I think you can also do the pills, but I do not remember 100%. So that is just about covers Secret Peak. It's the one thing that I generally don't have like a solid game plan for. I just go in, usually trying to do the bosses and stuff, and then when we have extra time, I sometimes grab a node if I saw one, like a red node, and just kind of go about it, maybe do some XPing, things like that. It's a nice place to have some fun, maybe test some things out, fly around, practice your flying, all that good stuff. But if you can knock those bosses out, do that, get those skill tokens. That's probably like one of the most valuable things out of here. And other than that, you know what to buy at the NPC. I think that's about it. I think this helped you guys out on the Secret Peak. If you enjoyed it, guys, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on, and as usual, catch you in the next one.